Okay, so today we're going to take a look at the aggressive inline skate. It's a UFS boot that's made by Standard Skate Company. It's called the Omni, and this is the version 2. Let me just see. Can we see chat? Don't see chat at the moment. We'll see if anybody comes on. So yeah, I didn't want to do editing. I didn't want to film, and I kept having little flubs with technical stuff when I was trying to make a video based on these skates. So Standard is a skate company. It's an aggressive inline skating company that was actually founded by Lawrence Ingram. To my best recollection, there was a one of the first aggressive skating companies ever was called 5050 that made grind plates and frames. I think they were founded in 1994, and I don't think Lawrence was a part of the founding, but I believe he got hired on a couple years later, 97, 98, somewhere in there. He was integral to to the uh, the whole phenomenon of USD having true pro skates. I've heard him talk about that, how he, collaborated with the guys behind USD to include like the true 50/50 UFS, or sorry, non-UFS 50/50 frames and their own pro wheel. He was one of the guys that pushed for skaters to get a true pro skate with all their products attached to the skate out of the box. He was also integral with the development of the UFS system. I believe he actually designed the balance frame from scratch, which was 50/50's second UFS frame. Their good one that's symmetrical. They had an earlier UFS frame that was still good, that was asymmetrical, that had a flat, part in the back and a slant part in the front, so that you couldn't swap them. But anyway, I'm rambling. So Lawrence, he took a step back from rollerblading and got, entered the real world around 2008, 2009, but he missed it dearly. He started a career in the tech industry and I'm sure was earning tons of money, but he still missed rollerblading. And so he started a YouTube channel called Back to Blading in 2016. And while there were aggressive inline skating YouTube channels like Mushroom Blading and a couple other different, skaters or videographer guys like Hawk Trackler or my buddy Seth Lloyd that would periodically upload edits from competitions, there wasn't any real blading content creators. Now, I started my channel in 2009, but I probably only uploaded like one or two videos a year for the most part. So I didn't actually start becoming like a content creator for rollerblading until July 2018 is when I started the weekly uploads. But Lawrence started in 2016, and he's really, well, he's not the first. He's the guy that popularized YouTube. There being a YouTube channel based on aggressive skating, and he was, documenting his journey back into the sport, the art, the hobby. People that were in the know, knew that Lawrence was a big part of 50/50 co-owner, and they clamored for him to reproduce some New Balance frames. And he kind of, hey Ricky, good to see you, bro. Yeah, so Lawrence, Ricky had a pair of non or UFS Rashard Johnson 50/50 frames. So Lawrence, people were clamoring for him to do a new production run of 50/50 frames, and he called some people and, pulled some strings, and he was able to do it. He was able to bring the brand back from the dead. And then the next thing, nothing is ever good enough. So from probably as early as like 2017, people were clamoring for him to design a brand new boot from scratch, which is like just such a Herculean effort, such a Herculean task, that no one could do it, but he did it. So I don't think it made good business sense for him to, actually pull the trigger until around early 2020, spring 2020, when we had the whole pandemic situation, and rollerblading, inline skate sales went through the roof because people had been getting drunk in bars for 20 years, and the bars were closed, and they were like, what did I used to do for fun before I went to the bar? I used to rollerblade. So while I was skating by myself for 20 years, all these guys came back to blading, and they found Lawrence's channel, and they bought every Razor and USD and them skate they could get their hand on, and everything was sold out. I couldn't even get a pair of skates in 2020. I had to keep wearing my same skates. Luckily, they were in decent condition. But Lawrence, when he saw that kind of surge in sales, and there was new people back in the market, we all of a sudden had a bigger total addressable market. Lawrence took the plunge, decided to start his own skate brand, and that is called Standard Skate Co. Now, whenever the brand was being announced, and all the hype was building, I was just totally just in my own world. I was skating the Aeon, and having an amazing time on that, and I really wasn't interested in trying to find a new skate. Um, so I should have been the first person to pre-order them, because me and Lawrence have a history. He's a great friend of mine. He was one of the earliest people to actually support this channel when I had like 25 subscribers, and actually leave me comments. And we made some deals. I traded him some vintage skates for some 50-50 parts, and he's a great guy. So we were in communication. We were buddies. So I should have been the first one to put the money down, but admittedly, I don't have a lot of money to throw around, and I was having a great time on the Aeon, so I kind of skipped the whole standard Omni release. And now I know that a lot of people have had some serious problems with the original Omni, but Lawrence said right off the bat, John Julio, anybody who's started a boot brand, Shima with Shima Skate Manufacturing, and earlier NIM, I guess version 1 of anything, version 1 of the iPhone, version 1 of whatever, is always just, you're immediately going to find problems with it, and then address those problems. So V1 was just an experiment, a science experiment. V2 is really like the first true production skate, I've been told. Now, I am completely ignorant to the issues that people had. I heard something about the lace eyelets popping out and stuff, but maybe some boots even cracking. But I'm going to ignore all that, and just, so if I have the same problems with the V2 that you have heard in numerous, reviews and anecdotes at skate sessions or group chats, if I'm having the same problem with the V2 that your friends or other content creators had at the V1, maybe there's still some problems that need to be addressed. It'll be funny if I, parrot what other people have said without having any knowledge of them, saying that. So now this pair actually was originally intended to be a review skate for iRoller Boot for my buddy Ben Sanders. He doesn't really have good access to internet where he's living in the Philippines, and that's a small problem. The big problem is access to anything skatable, including pavement. So he's just been kind of taking a step back from the channel. He's on hiatus. As soon as he comes back to the US, you'll see some new videos. But in the meantime, he had paid for these skates. He didn't want to get a refund because he didn't want to take money out of Lawrence's pocket. And so I said, well, send them my way, and I'll hold on to them for you for when you come back to the US. And he was like, you know what, bro, just skate them. Like, I don't give a crap. And I was like, oh, well, okay, Nick Martz, what's up, Mike? Tried the V1, really like them overall, but definitely quite stiff for aggressive. Seeing and hearing good things about the V2. Good. Okay, yeah. I've read that the original plastic was a lot more stiff, which was probably like a maverick thing for Lawrence to do, like to have this really stiff, responsive skate. But when they're released to the masses, probably wasn't so good. Then he realized, like, oh, duh, that's why everybody goes with flexi plastic. Anyway, yeah, this pair was originally intended for Ben, and he didn't want to get a refund. He just wanted to send them my way. And I said, I'll hold them. I'll keep them mint. And he said, I don't care. Just skate them into the ground. Do whatever you want with them. And he knows that I'm really easy with my skates. If I skate a pair of skates for like 2 years, they'll have the same wear as the average person that skates them for 2 to 3 months. I guess I'm just light-footed on my grinds, and I still don't, even though I'm a little heavier, I still don't weigh a ton. And I skate flat, and I don't like skating concrete curbs, so my skates stay pretty cherry. So eventually, you might see the same pair on the feet of Ben Sanders, and you might do a review. But for the meantime, I'm gonna be throwing down on them. So I've rambled for 10 minutes. Here is the standard Omni box. Got this cool Solomon-esque kind of reminds, all the marketing has reminded me of Solomon. Cool marketing. I like the minimalist box. He's not paying extra for ink, more than one color of ink on the box, and therefore charging you more money. It's just a bare bones, nice cardboard box, but that kind of falls in line with their marketing too. So we got the large, which is the 28.5 shell. It's, I think, intended for size U.S. men size 10, 10 and a half, or EU sizes 43, 44. I think my foot is somewhere around like 275 centimeters or millimeters, 27.5, whatever, somewhere in there, somewhere between I'm pretty much a 10, but I think one of my feet is a 10, one's a 10 and a half. A lot of people get very sensitive when you point out that their feet might be different sizes. Measure your feet. You'd be surprised how many people have two different size feet. Yeah, I got the shell only. I'm gonna use my them Clark liners that I absolutely love in these. And this is gonna be like one of the first true skate reviews on this channel, because I've usually already made my mind up by the time I spend the money on a skate. I usually do, a crazy amount of research, and I'm just really informed in general. So I've already made my decision, but this is not a skate I chose to skate. So it's going to be very interesting to see. And I'm actually in love with my 909s right now. So if these are good, it's going to be very interesting if they can pull me away from a skate that I love. So anyway, the box came with two boots, shell only, with the sole plate, and they were in plastic baggies. Here's the skate. Got the black on black one. Let's see what Nick says here. I ended up with the large Omni V1, ended up a bit smaller, shorter than typical 10, 10 and a half razors, 10, 10, 11. Yeah, yeah, the whole 10, a lot of people are 10 and a half. A lot of people are 10 and a half. And depending on the size, the type of skate you're going with, closer to a Razor SL or Genesis. Before the stream ends, I probably will pop my liners in now that you mentioned that, and just see how they size up. Yeah, because I'm a 10, 10 and a half, the them medium, which is for 9 and 10, fits me absolutely perfect. Like it was designed for me, because I guess one of my feet that's closer to 10 and a half, it's like, that's the max length, and it fits perfect. But like with the Genesis, I think they were 9, 10, and then 11, 12, and I had to skate the 11, 12 in Genesis, and I rode like 6 different pairs of them, and they were way too big for me. The same thing with the Colt. I had to. Well, actually, the Colt is a 10 and 11 shell, but it's the size of damn near a 12, and so I'm swimming in Colts, even though I love how they feel. So it's gonna be interesting to see how this thing fits, but anyway. So yeah, I love all the design choices that Lawrence made with the skate. Okay, gotcha, Nick. I love all the design choices he made. I hate the fact that we add weight to skates with cuff bolts. I mean, whoever changes their cuffs. I know people take them. They do mental gymnastics and say that they like to have the removable cuff so they can wax their cuff. Come on, I mean, it was cool in 2001 to take your black Razors cuffs off and put a pair of white cuffs on to be like Murda or the Kelsos, but I mean, who's really swapping cuffs that often? So they have a cool, they have a cuff rivet, but just so you don't get bullied at the skate park, it has a little indention where someone would almost think that was a cuff screw, so you won't get roasted at the session. It's hard to see, but they have bridge hardware here in the front. They have a black shock absorber, which I believe is softer. It's 45A. Like anti-rocker wheels are like 100A. Like regular inline skating wheels are like 78A to 84A. So the lower the wheel, the lower the durometer, the softer. So one of these, it comes with like 45A, and don't quote me on which one's which, but I think the black ones are the 45A softer shock absorbers, and then you can get harder 60A shock absorbers, and they feel pretty dang hard. They feel like they're made out of like fiberboard or something. So you get both in the box, so you can customize what type of shock absorber you run, and it has like double-sided tape on there, so you can tape it to the bottom of the shell. So I don't like this strip right here. I'm probably gonna hit that with a black Sharpie, but you know they put it. It's cool, but it's cool design concept nonetheless. You got these really generous wheel wells in the skate, so you can have a lot more frame options to try to bring your low riding frames with wheels that kind of stick above the frame, like up into the boot. You get a really close ride. I think this base is some kind of like dual durometer stuff. It's the shell. It still feels stiff to me, but it's probably because they're brand new. But there's definitely some flex in there you can see. But I think the base of the shell has like a dual durometer situation going on, because I know you can ride these without sole plates for like wizard skating. Now the sole plate is nice and big. I believe this measured out to be about 35 millimeters in the back. And let me grab my ruler. Oh, actually, okay. Yeah, let me see. Let me check. So the negative space on the front and back is 26 millimeters, and then the positive space is 35 or 36, depending on your ruler or the level of precision you want to go to. Somewhere around 35 to 36 millimeters wide. Now, like the Aeon and the Shadow are like pretty much the biggest on the market, and they're like 44 millimeters or 45 millimeters, give or take. But when you actually compare that visually, it's such like a small amount that these are still huge. Yeah, I mean, it would. Let's see. Yeah, let me see. So you can see where the sole plate ends, that's 35 millimeters, and then where my thumb starts is like 44 millimeters. So you're only losing that much sole space versus the Aeon or the Shadow, which are like the biggest on the market. I get the cool standard skate design, like on the box and the little dual durometer area there on the bottom. You have pretty generic buckles, I'll say. If I had to criticize any part of the skate, these are just like cheapo Chinese buckles. But I'm sure they'll do the job, and I think most skaters should switch to Jad straps. Jonathan DeNicholas, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. His Velcro and leather straps are absolutely amazing, and you should probably switch to those. Save you a little weight, and you can kind of customize your fit. So yeah, that's the standard Omni V2. Here's our white shock absorbers. Let's go ahead and weigh the skate. Let's see. So on Mike McFly here, we measure our skates. So we eliminate variables. We take the liner out and we just measure sole plate, shell with laces is fine, and any applicable shock absorber. So when I stick that whole setup on my digital scale, it looks like 2 pounds and 5.5 ounces. Let me switch that to grams. Let's see. Okay, so in grams, nope, wrong unit of measurement. Okay, grams. We got 1065 grams or 1.065 kilograms, which now if we compare, I don't know how it compares in the metric system, but if we compare to our heaviest boot on the market, the Rollerblade Blank, the Rollerblade Blank with the boot, the sole plate, the shock absorber, and that's it, weighs a full 3 pounds. At least that Blank SK and the Pigeon do. And so this is 2 pounds, 5 ounces, 5.5 ounces. So, 16 ounces in a pound. So you're do some, I don't have my calculator to do math, but basically you're saving like over half a pound per foot and 1 pound overall versus the blank. And if you don't think, that's a lot of weight, walk around with some half pound or pound ankle weights all day and see how that feels. So yeah, that's the skate. Came with a pretty cool Allen wrench, something that kind of sets Standard apart. It looks a lot like the them skates, or not the them skates, but I think the Power Slide Allen wrench. But you have a Phillips head on the end there, which is pretty cool. I don't have one of those. And we got our UFS bolts there. Black, pretty good. The hardware looks pretty good quality, and you get some blue Loctite on there. Got some stickers, all the balance distribution brands, Chroma wheels, mushroom blading wheels, Compass, which makes wheels and frames that are kind of for like fitness, Standard Skateco, and of course the original 50/50. So that's what you get, and I think they run about 160, 170 in this boot only situation. I forgot to pull up the email and the invoice, but I mean it's $10 difference. So what's cool about that is they don't force you to buy a liner that you're not gonna use if you're like an intuition guy. I love stock liners, but you know, here's my Clarks, my 909s. Go ahead and pop the liner into the Standard skate. Oh, and two, I will show you guys the frames. I want to give these skates the best. I want to have the best experience on them because I don't want to end up like bashing Lawrence's skate because I was stupid and put the wrong frame on there. So I'm running flat because I skate the best when I'm riding flat, and I'm using like my best flat frames probably that I've ever ridden, and that is the K2 Front Street frame from 2016, I believe. And they have really cool wheel wells, similar to Celtic frames, but even better. And that fits on there rather nicely, because Lawrence is a stickler for sticking to the UFS specs and UFS standards. A lot of frame companies just, I don't know what they do. It's like their brain isn't turned on when they're designing their frames, and they make frames that are not to UFS spec, and so they're like ill-fitting. You have to Dremel stuff out. But K2, a corporate company, they stuck to the specs, and Lawrence stuck to the specs. So the K2 frames fit beautifully. So you're gonna see me running these probably on some like 56s or something like that, flat. Maybe some 60s if I find a good set of 60s for cheap. So does anybody have any questions in the chat? I know this isn't radical like an eye roller boot stream, but I just wanted to show you guys the skates and give my first impressions. Let's slip this on. Probably gonna get off here in a minute. Wow, 23 minutes already. Okay, so yeah, my left foot fits perfect. I mean, it actually fits really well, and that's with no laces. Libby, would you say they're narrow, standard, wide? Where do they fall? Let me see. No, I haven't, Libby. They're actually a little narrow. That could be because I'm running these fat liners. These, I call them couch foam liners or standard liners. They're feeling a little narrow. My thems fit like an absolute dream, and these liners are broken in. So now a thing that's interesting is Lawrence and I are the exact same height and pretty much the exact same weight, and we have the exact same shoe size. But there are some variables in our foot shape, because he loves the like the Gods plastic boot, which used to be called the USD7, and that he loved. That was his favorite go-to skate, and I bought a pair on his recommendation because all of our specs, our height, our weight, our foot size are like identical. And I had a really bad time on the sways. But I think it was a difference between like my foot being arched versus his not being arched, or vice versa. So yeah, they're feeling a little narrow, even despite the length is good. They're feeling a little narrow, despite my liners already being broken in. Let me see if I can get a measurement. There is some really good measurements on the standard website, but how accurate are they? I don't know. Because I think that my measurements for weight are actually lighter than theirs, so which is good. Inaccurate, but good. Okay, so it's hard to get a ruler in there, but at pretty much the widest part of your foot, that's where the shock absorber ends. So let's measure this shock absorber. I mean, your foot might get a little bit wider right here, but let's go ahead and take this measurement because we can get a good accurate measurement. So let me see. So the shock absorber on at least my foot length, stops right before I think people call them the balls of your feet. Like where your toes connect to. I don't know. Stops right before that. But millimeters for the shock absorber, you're looking at right at 80 millimeters. So if you measure your feet in millimeters, I appreciate you going into much depth. I've heard a lot of the different things about the width. Yeah, they're I wouldn't say they're narrow, but I wouldn't say that they're stupid wide either. I don't remember Lawrence's whole thing on how he liked so famously the Razor's Genesis skate. Do you plan to stack the shock absorbers for one big shock absorber? I'll probably start with one, Nick, unless I have a lot of problems with heel lift. But yeah, the thing about Lawrence, I used to watch all of his videos. I've been kind of burnt out on blading content, so I haven't watched a lot recently. But I used to watch every video he made, and famously, the Razor's Genesis is the go-to like wide skate for people with wide feet. It'll fit anybody. But I think Lawrence experienced some slop, so he probably wanted to tighten them up and not make them narrow, but somewhere in the middle, just not too tight, not too much slop, just right, kind of the whole Goldilocks situation. And I mean, who could blame somebody for making that starts a skate company for making something perfectly catered to themselves? I mean, what is he going to do? Make it fit him poorly? So I would suggest, if you plan on running this skate with the stock liners that they sell, or some kind of other couch foam liners, I would suggest, and you have really wide feet, you might have a bad time. So if you love Standard, if you love the branding, if you love Lawrence and the team, and you want to support them, and you plan on buying a pair of these skates, I would definitely run something low profile like the Rollerblade Blank liner, or the Intuition liners, even though they're really expensive, that has less volume and just little small amounts of cushioning and padding that are really dense. So you give yourself just a little couple millimeters. Even the difference in socks can make a big difference. If you wear too thick of socks, you'll think the skate is too narrow, and you go to like some thin socks and they fit you like a glove. Now it's also interesting that I actually tried them on with no socks. So the problem of them being too narrow for me, or very slightly too narrow, might get worse. Will I ride big wheels on these? Probably. Unless I have some type of epiphany, I'm going to go back to my Them Skates 909s for aggressive. And I just put together these really sick Kaiser power blading frames that are 4x76 with an H block. And if you guys watch my videos, you've seen the setup. And so I'll probably put the Kaiser power blading frames on these and just have two sets of skates. So the Them Skates will be good for when I'm being like a try hard, and the standards will be for when I'm kind of like doing fitness skating around town with my wife and daughter or Bryce. Did I ever look into what took or how do I pull these comments up? I'm being like a boomer right now. Okay, I see. Did you ever go into what took you off of the Aeon? No, Nick. So there's this thing that I do where and it's happened multiple times. I find a skate like the Rems OS or the Rems 031s or the Aeons that I put them on. They hurt. They fit almost too good. And even when I'm sitting in a chair or standing still skating, they make my feet go numb or give me weird pain. But while I'm actively skating, I do all the biggest and best tricks, like pro level stuff. So it's like if I torture my feet, it pays off into clips. And the Aeons didn't hurt nearly as bad as the Rems, but there's something about I I find that skates that it's like performance versus comfort. On one end of the spectrum, you got a Mercury Grand Marquis with big leather couch seats, and on the other stream in a minute. Uh, so yeah, at one end of the spectrum, you have like you're sitting in a race car. Lost my video for a second. I'd skate Aeons if the two box wasn't so low. Yeah, I think that was my problem. So yeah, with the Rems, and to make it more the story shorter, Rems and Aeons are like Ferraris that are with carbon fiber racing seats in them. You do better track times, and but you're in pain. You're in a race suit. You're sweating. You got full performance, and then you got full comfort. And the Rems and the Aeons are like full performance, and some skates, are just full comfort. And I got to find like a happy medium. So I'll torture my feet. I'll land a bunch of huge tricks, and then I'll get so sick of it and say, I got to find some skates that are just comfortable and screw doing huge stunts. And it's happened to me at multiple different periods of my life, and that's kind of where I'm at now. No one cares if I do a huge rail, so I just need to have something that's comfortable and try to skate more for fun versus trying to get like sponsored and go to the X Games and get paid $2K per month to have a Yoo-Hoo sticker on my helmet. That's never gonna happen. So I got to go with what fits my foot the best, and just by pure coincidence, it's the Them 909 fits my foot the best. It's more comfortable even than the Solomon was to me, and so I just have to adapt to the Them and just be satisfied with whatever tricks I produce. And this has been 33 minutes, but thank you to Ben Sanders, iRoller Boot, for the hookup on the skates. Hopefully I can drag him on a live stream soon. Thanks to Nick and Libby and Ricky for watching, and anybody who's watching. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me in the comments, and I always reply to all my comments. Have a good one, guys.